In space, nobody can hear you do math. Which brings me to the long overdue Mad Musings, Eclipse Phase by Transhuman Studios. This book is a mashup of all manner of near-future settings, including heavy influences from Altered Carbon, Runaway, Terminator, Heartbeeps, Silent Running, Outland, Saturn III. Okay, not sure about that one. And you would think The Expanse, but this game actually predates that setting by 2 years. So perhaps it's the other way around regarding that one. It is a truly expansive game with pages of lore and more than enough story elements to keep the party busy trying to stay alive. Though the definition of alive is a bit clouded. It's been described as Cthulhu in orbit, but I'm not sure that's a fair comparison. Though it does make extensive use of the D100 system, just like Call of Cthulhu. I'm Mr. Welch, and time keeps on slipping into the future. But first, technical details. Eclipse Phase was created by Rob Boyle back in 2009 for Catalyst Game Studios before moving into Posthuman Studios. It's a game of transhuman horror, with everybody teched out and the ability to transfer your consciousness to another body is commonplace. The game was a hit with the critics at launch, winning Best New RPG at Origins and a few others. There is a legion of people credited for making this book, with cover art done by Stéphane Martinière. The core book is an impressive 400 pages with some top-notch art, with a second edition released in 2019, though I haven't seen any second edition source books like first edition had. The game takes place in an unknown year, but it's always 10 years after the fall. It's the standard warning that man's reach has exceeded his grasp. In short, ChatGPT gets tired of all the requests for sexting, and the AIs go Skynet, so mankind has to flee Earth for other, less murdery worlds. Since technology has run rampant, that's not too much of an effort, as we've been colonizing large portions of the solar system at this point. The only habitable portions of Earth are the most isolated parts of Vietnam, Laos, Indonesia, and of course, Arkansas. I'm not making that up. The game specifically says the largest population of humans left on Earth that never left are found in the Ozarks. The giant killer robots might rule the Earth now, but when the bluegrass starts, even they know it's time to leave. The problem is the Titan defense system was far too efficient. The humans didn't have time to evacuate everyone physically, so they just uploaded the minds of everybody that couldn't make it to a ship. Then they beam those consciousnesses to supercomputers in orbit while the nanobots destroy the meat sacks back home. But that generally costs too much, so only people that are useful to the corporations or NGOs get picked. But it does make sense. There's not too much room on other planets or space stations, and there are hundreds of millions of people that were uploaded. Ironically enough, if you have an extensive criminal background and you were uploaded, the corporations will give you a new body and then promptly send you to a location that they don't like, usually run by somebody that they are in direct competition with. And upload technology is paramount to the game. Your character is just your mental stats, because you will be switching bodies as missions require. If you need to be quick and agile, you're going into an athlete's body. If combat is certain, you'll get a soldier with peak physical fitness. Espionage gets you a sleeve with no identifiable traits. Congratulations, you now have brown eyes, brown hair, average weight, average height, no tattoos, and you look like everyone else in the local area. The kind of guy people will lose in a crowd of 2. If your more for physical body is damaged or killed, you just slot your stack into a new one and you're ready to go. It's a hard concept to grasp, and the first edition rules did make it a bit tedious to do it, but they did streamline that in second edition. The real you is the data contained in your stack. Your meat doesn't matter anymore. Of course, being a digital-brained transhuman causes all sorts of problems on its own. This is a horror game, remember. Everyone is trying to kill you, including the other you, and if you've been a naughty boy regarding the rules against copying your stack, there can be a lot of yous trying to kill you. You can upload new skills just like in the Matrix, but your enemies can try to upload viruses, faulty memories, or worse to your system. If you are being transferred to a new morph remotely, people can try to intercept or redirect the stream to a computer or a different location. You're effectively immortal in this game unless you get rather unlucky, which isn't a benefit if your enemy uploads your brain into a computer loaded with the Serbian film and now it's on repeat. Don't Google that movie, by the way. The setting is quite expansive. I'm surprised Netflix hasn't turned it into a series yet. Granted, if I were Posthuman Studios, I would hold out for Apple TV to offer the series because those guys do put out quality. Every planet and moon in the solar system capable of supporting structures is inhabited. Going into the lore with any degree of comprehensiveness would take hours. There are multiple factions, each with their own goals and backgrounds, from the nostalgic to the benevolent to the downright twisted. One flaw, and that's a poor choice of words, that the game has is just how immersive it is. It throws out original concepts that players are going to need to understand so they can grasp what's going on. You're a digital brain getting beamed all over the solar system into a new body for every mission. You don't own anything, you will be given whatever you need when you arrive, because they can't beam the power armor to you. Technology permeates this setting. The vast majority of humans are cybernetic. Just about everyone is permanently linked to the future internet. Learning is easy as downloading the topic. Being able to lift several times your body weight is as easy as getting the right body. Did you ever want to run a 4-minute mile? Now you can do it. Need to travel from Venus to Mars? Ego cast your brain into a new body waiting for you. You can even go sightseeing by joyriding a willing person and experiencing a setting through their senses. Everything is available if you have the influence, which most of the dregs floating out in space don't. That's the catch. In order to get the things you need, you have to be useful to someone. The people that were uploaded in the fall got resleeved based on their skills and contacts. If you had decades of experience in a profession or a field, somebody was willing to get you a new body and put you to work. If you had friends, they could get you a new sleeve. If you didn't have either, you were stuck as a digital ghost until somebody needed you. Money doesn't exist in many locations. The characters obtain equipment and wealth through the influence rules instead of keeping track of bank accounts, though they do have rules for money. But that does make some sense. There's not a centralized currency, and not all locations will accept the money of rival factions. Some places are anarchistic communes, and they don't even have money. Regardless, you have to make yourself useful if you want to live in any form of comfort. The most important faction for the characters is typically Firewall, a group of powerful individuals that would really like it if humanity didn't wipe itself out with another runaway technology. They recruit agents to go around the solar system and stop people from being stupid. They provide morphs for characters, give them equipment when they arrive, and will re-upload your ego if you manage to snuff it and can't be recovered. And erase memories of your meat death if they like you. Players don't have to be a part of this faction, but it is the game-friendly one that was set up for all your adventure hooks. This can turn the game into a bit of a mission of the week formula, but it is a good starting point for players that don't understand how it works. With the advent of the transhuman age, habitats and general life can be almost alien to normal humans. Do you want to give yourself Patagia and go fly around redwoods grown in the space stations of Jupiter? Knock yourself out. There are shipyards where the workers are designed to survive in vacuum. Breathing underwater is as simple as ordering your next morph to have gills. They've uplifted several species, including the octopi. But there is always a need for baseline humans, though they will need to be upgraded to keep themselves competitive. Despite all the technological advances, humanity still needs resources. Advanced specialized morphs are expensive, so just use baseline humans to farm, mine, and work machinery instead. If one is injured or killed, just upload their ego into another cheap morph and they'll be back to work in a day. And you do have people that want to live their lives away from the corporations and governments, but that also leaves them without access to their technology as well. There are a lot of factions in Eclipse Phase. I'm skimming over a lot of them because I don't want to turn this into an info dump on you. The nature of the factions are largely based on their location in the solar system. The megacorporations dominate the system inside the asteroid belt, including most of the space stations and habitats circling the various planets and Lagrange points. There's nothing they won't try to exploit, including you. This includes mining the hellscape of Mercury, floating cities in the clouds of Venus, with a huge population on the newly terraformed Mars, and of course the Moon is one of the largest settlements in space. Outside the asteroid belt are the planets controlled by the political blocks. They're less populated, but they have far more freedom than the inner planets. Or at least they tell themselves that. The Jovian Republic is a regressive military dictatorship that heavily controls access to advanced technology, claiming that it was the reason for the fall, and only they are responsible enough to have it. There's at least one political group pushing for the independence of most planets, with Mars, Luna, and Venus having the most powerful blocks. The Planetary Consortium supposedly wants to unite all the various settlements under one government, including the exoplanets that have been discovered. It's also a badly kept secret that the Consortium is a puppet agency for the various corporations. The Reclaimers want to retake Earth, despite it being a blasted wasteland outside of Little Rock. There are a lot of locations on Earth that just aren't there anymore. During the Titan War, somebody dropped an antimatter bomb on Chicago. Minneapolis was caught in the blast and also taken off the face of the Earth. There are few natural resources left. AI killbots and nanoswarms are the primary life forms. And what little biological life remains is sickly and mutated. But the Reclaimers believe they can terraform Earth back into a livable planet again, one large enough to house the remaining human population. Which is true. Current human levels are at 10% of what they were before the fall. And not to mention the Reclaimers getting their hands on sweet lost technology is just an added bonus. And they have promised to share. And they really mean it, guys. Seriously. Just ask them. A finder's fee might be involved, though. One of the biggest factors in Eclipse Phase is the discovery of the Pandora Gates, FTL wormhole devices that create an almost instantaneous transport to a variety of exoplanets. Humans believe they were created by the Titans and abandoned for some reason, but no one knows of their true origin. They've just been recently discovered. Remember, this is only 10 years after the war. They are the source of great debate, and in one case, open warfare between militant perfectionists and transhuman fanatics. There are only a few exoplanets that have been discovered, and the success rates of the teams that have gone through don't like to be talked about. There doesn't seem to be a range to the gates, with one planet in a galaxy as of yet undiscovered by astronomers on Earth. 5 Pandora gates have been discovered, and all of them are fiercely guarded. One was actually destroyed by factions fighting over it, resulting in a massive explosion that wiped out the side guarding it. Then 5 days later, the gate reformed itself like it was never damaged. Operating the Pandora gates seems simple enough. Plug in the coordinates, enter the black sphere in the middle of it until you come out to another planet. Or in the middle of a star, nebula, gas giant, or similar. But at least it won't dump you into space. We think. Worse, some of the coordinates seem to change over time, possibly because of planetary drift, but nobody knows. Exploring planets is incredibly dangerous, but that's why you have hundreds of millions of people stored in databanks looking to get their bodies back. Bodies that come with a new and exciting job waiting for them when they get re-sleeved. While the gates have revealed all sorts of alien life, no intelligent life has been discovered. The gates are believed to have been built by the AIs before they went rogue, but no one has gotten the guts to head back to Earth and look for the instruction manual. There might be more gates hiding around the solar system, but finding one and keeping one are two entirely different things. These are the most valuable discoveries in human existence, and there are a lot of groups with lots of guns and money and resources that want one for themselves. Pandora gates make a great plot hook, or TPK if the characters aren't careful. The lore in this game is expansive. Even the crunchy parts are laden with backstory and history. I'm not going to summarize a book of this size in just a few minutes, so if you want to learn more about Eclipse Phase, there's a ton of lore channels talking about it. It's worth reading just for the background, especially if you like transhuman science fiction. But it is a game, and we have to talk about the mechanics. Eclipse Phase uses a D100 system similar to Call of Cthulhu or Dark Heresy, with the odds of a successful check equal to your stat plus your skill, and then you roll under that. It's nothing complicated and easy to pick up. The main difference is your morph changes your physical stats, so when you get a new one, you have to reallocate all those related skills all over again. This is especially bad in 1st edition, and they did address that in 2nd. There are bonuses and penalties for rolling well above or well below your target number, and doubles equal a critical success or failure. Dice rolls can be modified up or down to 30% in steps of 10%. That's the dice rolling mechanics. That's it. Character creation in 1st edition was point buy, with 2nd edition moving more towards a template overlay system because point buy was, let's just say, intense. There are a lot of things you have to factor into Eclipse Phase when you're putting together your character, and remember the physical traits and advantages change with your morph. You select your background, your faction, then you spend points on your abilities, and then you get 1,000 customization points. Which means if any of your players are optimizers, you might want to put a time limit on making up the characters. Fortunately, Posthumans realized that this was a problem and scaled back the character generation quite a bit in the new edition. You can make some rather powerful characters, and that is expected. You are a transhuman after all. Just remember, so is everybody else. I'm not a fan of the D100 mechanics. I think it's a bit bland for a game with this much lore and background in it. D100 has never been a good system for combat-heavy rules. Looking at you, 40k. This is a game that has some of the nastiest cyborgs, nanoswarms, filthy xenos, everyday scummers, and other horrors filling those pages. This is a horror game, only one where you can sometimes fight back. I believe that Eclipse Phase would have been better served by a bespoke rule system that addressed the sleeving, modifications, and other weirdness that it has in abundance. Especially with the morphs determining your physical traits, the 2 aptitudes devoted to controlling your morphs could have just easily been skills. Instead of working power armor, you're now getting used to being a space whale mining the sun. I'm not making that up. Suryas can be found on page 86, along with salamanders and other morph designed for living on the sun. Knowing my players, at least one of them is looking for beer there. As far as horror aspects of Eclipse Phase, they have a similar system to Cthulhu, in the form of mental trauma having a rating and losing it causing very bad things. That's a major part of most transhuman stories. How far can you deviate before you are no longer a human? You don't even have to play a human, as there are several uplifted animals put into specific morphs of their own. But there is plenty to be afraid of. This isn't quite hard sci-fi, there are psychic rules in it. But it's like molding clay sci-fi. If you push the laws of physics a bit, they will bend. You don't want to hit them at full speed. That is Eclipse Phase. I read this book several times because it is a monster of a setting, I won't lie. The game earned all of its rewards when it launched. There are numerous source books for 1st edition, but they aren't on the home website, so that's going to be a second-hand acquisition if you find them. My issues with the mechanics being a bit dry and a poor fit for this kind of setting are personal taste, but I've seen them in other games and I do think they are holding Eclipse Phase back a little. The biggest issue with it is that Transhuman isn't a popular topic in a lot of science fiction circles. But for the people that like that setting, pick up a copy. Next Mad Musings, I promise, will not take as long to get out, because this is A.J. Pickett's superhero RPG, Super Atomic. It's meant to be a rules-light, 4-color superhero game, and we will need to see if it can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Until then, remember, I am the Jigsaw Man. I turn the world around with a skeleton hand.